the BOOODANCHORME. Yeah, to his WORDBAPTIZED. And his GRACEANCHORME. Yeah, to the LMMB. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Baptized and Clueless. I'm your host, Yusuf, and I've got my co-host here, Wesley. Wesley, how are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, Yusuf.
Awesome, awesome. I will point out, every time you say that you're doing okay, it's never like a high pitch, I'm doing fantastic, or it's never low, it's always right in the middle.
Yeah.
That's so Wesley.
let
But
people let people know that, it's not the best, but it's not bad either. It's just okay.
it's real. That's real.
Yeah, yeah.
Today we want to talk about labels. We were talking
Mhm.
about this for quite a few weeks ago, and then we got into something and decided to get into this topic today. It was actually supposed to be another topic, but this is just bugging me. But anyways,
Yeah.
the whole point of it is labels. Are we dealing with labels of God over
Mhm.
man's label? Are we confused? Are we silent in both of them? So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, when we talk about labels, we talk about the things that we prop up about ourselves that make us feel great. We also talk about the labels that we hold on to ourselves that put us in a box that's not so great.
Mhm.
So when I thought about labels, I thought about how we pride ourselves on what we accomplish in life.
Right.
And now, you're a physician, you're a doctor, which is fantastic. But I mean, are you also a person that has horrible bedside manners? Don't care
Mm.
about your patients? Are you a person who works at a job that isn't seen great by society, but you do the job well? You do great
Mhm.
service towards the public, but you take it as, well, it's not a prestigious label, so I don't really consider myself anything.
Mhm.
Those are two sides that I think about when I think about labels.
Yeah, yeah.
Initially, when we started talking about it today, you were telling me something that you looked up as far as the definition was based on, I guess,
Mhm.
people who I guess, don't stay focused.
Right. Like
Uh,
easily, like what I was telling you was, you know, like over the past week, I was just thinking about it because, I've been like I see that I've been like easily distracted,
mm-hmm,
not being able to focus on just one thing. Like
mm-hmm,
my head, is thinking about multiple things at one time.
mm-hmm,
And that made me, go into this rabbit hole of like even researching if I had like symptoms of, ADHD and,
mm,
um I know that this is a serious, like disorder that people struggle with. And,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
the fact that I'm over here thinking that, oh, is it possible that I have this? Or like just that in itself is like, what? Where did that come from?
Exactly. Like when
You know?
you read the definition, right?
Like I looked up the
The
symptoms
symptoms.
of,
Okay.
yeah,
Were
yeah.
you? Did you find yourself mentally checking off the symptoms that aligned with you?
Yes, I did. I did. And because I was checking them off, like little by little, I'm thinking to myself, oh my, like I'm literally over here convincing myself, like,
Mm-hmm.
do I really have this?
There you go.
And the thing is, like, people struggle. There's people in this world that struggle with this, and it's like it's an actual disorder, and
Yeah.
it's not something to be taken lightly. And because as because we love to put labels on ourselves, like
Yeah.
we tend to do these things, even I'll even go as far as saying like, there's times where like I even consider myself, oh, I'm an introvert and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that say that about themselves as well. And the reason why we tend to say these things about ourselves is because of the way our like are just looking at our actions, and our
Yeah,
behavior.
it could be a percentage of like 10% of what we do is that of an introvert, and we put the whole label on ourselves.
Right, right.
We wear that hat so quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
But I want to step back on ADHD. Like there are people who are rightfully so diagnosed with that,
Mhm.
but not being focused, that's something that's common this day and age, and
Yeah.
it's not something that needs to be medicated. It just needs discipline. It
Mhm.
just needs
Mhm.
focus. And I mean,
Mhm.
I would never label myself ADHD. However, I know if I have a thought in my head from upstairs in my house and I need to get something in the kitchen, by the time I get halfway down the stairs, I've already thought about three other things.
Mhm.
Now I found a solution to something else I was thinking about last week. By the time I get to the kitchen, I forgot what I wanted to come down for
Yeah, yeah.
because I've gotten into the habit of trying to multitask mentally.
Mhm.
And I thought about it when I was talking to you. It's like as a kid, I didn't have as many thoughts because I didn't have as many responsibilities.
Exactly.
So when I want to go to the kitchen to get something to drink, that's all I'm focused on. Can't wait to get that drink. Quench his thirst. Can't wait for that sugar. Ooh, it's gonna be good.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about anything to do with church, anything to do with the Bible,
Mhm.
what that podcast was, because there was no podcasting back then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't have a wife back then, didn't have any kids. I could stay focused because I didn't have as many things on the plate. And I
Yeah.
think I think the label of ADHD gets a bad rap because people who do need that diagnosis get lumped in with everyone else who wants to be diagnosed with something for some strange reason or another. But we've gotten used to putting labels on ourselves. Like society doesn't have to push it on us anymore.
Mhm.
It's just not being focused on our mental thoughts and trying to do too many things all at once. Finish a task first and move on to the next.
Yeah, yeah,
And mind you,
yeah.
we live in a society where we're literally training ourselves not to focus. We are the scrolling society. We scroll through everything.
Social media has messed us up.
Ugh, man, as much as Steve Jobs was great, this phone business, this iPhone business is the worst.
Yeah.
I found myself trying to scroll on items that have no scroll option. So used to something digital being touched, and it's not.
Yeah.
Right? That's a whole nother scenario. But I'm just saying at the
Yeah,
end of the day,
yeah.
it's like when you're not looking at what it is you're doing, you just take for granted that it is what it is and you just go ahead and do it, or I'll remember that, or oh yeah, I told myself I'll do this and I don't. It's because you're not staying focused, right?
Mm, mhm,
You want to
mhm.
read your Bible more. What are you doing to read your Bible more? You're if you're not doing it, it's probably because you're distracted with some other thing. That's not ADHD. That's lack of discipline.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And I'm guilty of that.
Yeah,
Right?
yep.
I'm like 11 days behind my reading plan right now.
I'm 10 days.
You're 10, so I still got to catch up to you by one. That's horrible.
Yeah.
But the point of the matter is, like, I'm behind, and no label's gonna describe to me why I'm behind, other than me just looking at the facts. And what did you do? Now, if
Mm,
I'm trying to read the Bible and I just can't focus on the words, I got to reread. Okay, there may be something else there as well.
yeah, yeah. Mhm,
And I've had that in the past when I was younger, but that's only because the fact that I just wasn't focusing on what I was reading.
mhm.
I'm just reading the words like per word as opposed to reading the entirety to get the understanding. And when I say younger, I mean like any book in school I didn't want to read. That's the way I was. Give me a
Yeah,
book I want to read now, I'm absorbing it like a sponge.
yeah, yeah.
But you made a great mention with the other labels that we seem to hook ourselves with is being an introvert.
Right. Yep, yep.
That's so 100% like if you're quiet, you're an introvert. It's not so. You may be shy about something,
Mhm.
but a true
Mhm.
introvert wouldn't even tell you that they're an introvert because they're too introverted to tell you about their business.
Or someone that like just doesn't like to be around people. They call
Yeah,
themselves
yeah. That's a lot of old Jamaicans. Yeah, I said that.
that.
They're so miserable. It's like these are your kids you brought to this planet. Why are you so mean and bitter and miserable? I just want to be left alone.
Mm,
And why did you have so many
yeah.
kids? Anyways,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
digress once again. But all the Caribbean people know it's true. It doesn't matter what island, pick it out. It's the same. But bottom line is that we absorb a lot of these labels too easily. But I mean, we're talking about the things that we absorb that are negative and we absorb it so quick. But
Hmm.
can you recall anyone that you know of or any scenario where one person puts a label on another person and how much they quickly refute it? Like the catchphrase of the day, narcissist.
Mm.
That label's being thrown around so much. It's like
Yeah,
the buzzword of 2024, 2025. Like that's just ridiculous.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Half the times people throwing labels are just projecting.
Hmm. Hmm. And them projecting it on people can really have an effect on them as well. Can it?
Hmm.
Because it can really um like have an impact on their behavior for real
Again,
and
their
their
ability to see
actions.
what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I'll even like even something as minor as say calling someone calling someone dumb.
Mm.
Like even something as minor as that can go a long way
Hmm.
because you never know that person might actually grow up to thinking, oh, I'm actually dumb. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it could have effect on them.
It could because not everyone's the same, right? People absorb things differently.
Yeah, yeah. Some people might take it as a joke. Some people might be serious.
Yeah, I don't take it as no joke.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
try me with that.
yeah.
Nope. just just don't.
Like
Um.
you
Hmm.
remember that saying that that they they used to have when we were younger, where it says, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me."
Lies. Lies.
Lies.
Words have gotten people into more fights than you can imagine.
Yeah.
Kidding me? Words will never hurt me. Then, well, I guess I know what the sentiment's supposed to be, and it's supposed to be like let words just slide off your back. But some things go too far.
Yeah, some words go deep, man.
And
Go
that's
deep.
well, that's the thing. I mean, some words can get you. Some labels can get you really angry. Some labels can keep you trapped.
Hmm.
Some labels can have you living a lifestyle you were never meant to live. Like
Right,
I've
right.
I've seen people get labeled being loose in their sexuality, and
Mm,
they weren't even. And they just decided, well, if that's the way I'm going to be perceived,
mm-hmm,
and they started following suit. They quickly
mm,
realized it wasn't them for them at all, right? But still, the fact that you hear a
mm.
label long enough to fall into it is a whole nother situation.
Yeah,
Especially if
yeah.
you tell someone that they're like, you start telling a kid that you're a bad kid.
Mm,
Why you like this all the time? You never seem to tell the truth. That kid will start
mm.
believing, well, since you never believe me, I might as well.
Right.
Since I can't do nothing right anyways, I might as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And that to me, I mean, if the kid is young, I understand why they don't see the downfall of accepting something like that. But there's adults who still do it, and you know better.
Mm-hmm.
I've known adults who call themselves black sheeps of the family, and
Yeah.
you're not choosing to do the right things in life, so you're living up to the label that you really don't like.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a shame. It's a sad situation, but it happens too often.
Happens too often, man.
But
Yeah.
one thing we can say for sure though, it's like these are labels that man puts on each other. Like as human beings, we put these labels on, good or bad. And it's just so funny how the Bible doesn't talk about the labels of society, but it does talk about what God calls us as or how he sees
Yes.
us. So like in
Yes.
Psalms 139:14, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well.
Yes.
We are wonderfully
Amen.
made by him, he who is the creator.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the enemy has done the works into making sure that you don't know who you are.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
For people in society, culturally, the terms always used that, oh, they don't tell you the truth in the history books, so you don't know who you are. Not knowing who you are is a big thing.
Mm.
It is the quickest way to get lost.
Yeah, yeah.
It's worse than not knowing where you are.
Lack of identity.
Lack of identity. Not knowing where you are, you can ask questions or see signs or, you know what I mean, to navigate yourself. But
Mhm.
now knowing who you are, you can't just
Mhm.
ask just anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
It is something that runs deep because a lost identity means you have no origin to yourself,
No direction.
no direction at all. And that
Mm.
is a real tough one, which is why some people make sure that you never know who you are, and it's up to you to find it out. Surround yourself with the right people. Surround
Mhm.
yourself with people who believe. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
there's another scripture, First Peter, chapter 2, verse 9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you
Yes.
may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light.
So good. So good.
Man,
Mm.
if anything is the worst in society, ignorance. When you have no clue of what's what,
Mhm.
it is the easiest way to get spun around in the wrong direction in life completely.
Mhm.
And a lot of
Yeah.
us, when we look at our start, we knew nothing of God and what His will was for us. And we just lived life by the seat of our pants.
Mhm.
And that's where a lot of our angst and issues came from.
Yeah.
Like all my flaws, all my faults, all my falls throughout my life has been because I didn't know who I was in Him.
Mhm. Like one thing that I'm trying to hang on to, like, and I'm
Hmm.
still to this day trying to like receive it for myself, is
Hmm.
that I am God's masterpiece,
Yeah.
you know? And that verse, the first verse that you said, where it said, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Mm,
Yes. Yes.
that's just so good right there.
It's not something we brag about. It's not something we try and live up to.
Mhm.
But man's label, oh, we hold on to those things dear.
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah.
You're a boss. You're a boss. You have no employees.
Mhm.
You just bought something expensive, and that doesn't make you who you are.
Mhm. Mhm. One thing I was also thinking about,
Hmm.
and you know, this resonates big time with with our culture,
Hmm.
where a lot of the labels we give ourselves, like some of it like has two different meanings. Like one of it can have a like for people that like to call themselves um the B word, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it can have two meanings. Like sometimes they say it, you know, to mean it in a good way, and sometimes they say it to mean it in a bad way. And it's like, why do we confuse ourselves this much?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly it. The origin of something is very important.
Yeah, yeah,
And there was nothing really positive about the origin. I mean, initially it's the name of a female dog.
yeah,
So
yeah,
even so, you're still calling someone a dog.
yeah.
At that, I don't think
Hmm.
anyone would appreciate that.
No.
But leave it to a backward society to come up with a. Now it's a term of endearment. Everything negative is a term of endearment.
Yeah, yeah.
Just more labels to mess people up.
Exactly, exactly. Confuse people.
Big time.
And isn't that one of
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
names that we give the devil,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
author of confusion?
Author of confusion. No.
Yeah. and
King of
um
lies.
to go to the second verse where the first part where it said, "But you are a chosen people,"
Hmm.
that just reminds me of Pastor Charles from Transformation Church, how
Yes.
he created a book called God Chose Me, which by the way I gotta still I gotta still try to order that.
It might take
But
longer now if it's on
yeah, yeah,
Amazon.
yeah, 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 yeah. But ever since I heard that sermon where he said God chose me, you know, that just resonated with me so much because it's like God chose little old me.
Hmm.
You know?
Things that we forget. He also made us.
Yeah, yeah.
Every morning when I wake up, one of the things that I try to remember to always say is, uh, thank you for waking me up, but it also proves that you still have more plans for me.
Right, right. Yeah.
People wake up and just assume that, it's just another day. Yeah, it's no big deal. It's like, it's a big deal.
Mhm, mhm,
Everything that God does with us is a big deal. He created us, it's a big deal. He says we're his chosen people, it's a super big deal.
mhm, mhm.
He
And
says that we're wonderfully made, it's a huge deal.
oh yeah, yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but at the end of the day, the last few years I've been living my life to not absorb labels. Even the labels of praise sometimes, I'm very aware of it. And it may be a flaw of mine, but I'm wary of it because at the end of the day, gas head is a very real thing.
Mm.
I can take the compliments, oh, that was really good. And I said, thanks, I appreciate it. When they start talking about, oh, you're the best at da da da, or no one does like you, da 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 da, depending on your kind of personality, you start eating it up,
Oh yeah, yeah. And that could turn into pride.
turns into pride in two twos,
Mhm, mhm,
and so it's like at the end of the day, it's like if you were to if you were to label Jesus based on his character, humble is
mhm.
one of them,
Yeah,
and that's not a label that people want in our society.
yeah, yeah. And as you were just saying that, I was just thinking, there was even a time where the Pharisees tried to put a label on God and say, I mean, try to put a label on Jesus and say that he was the devil.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. For not doing things the way they expect him to do it,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
when none of them tried to do anything that he did.
Nope, nope.
They didn't take care of the poor. They didn't take care of the sick. They didn't take care of the
Hmm,
widows. They didn't
hmm,
pray for anybody. Well,
hmm.
not that I recall, but I know they didn't heal anybody.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And like they were so occupied with Jesus to the point where like even when Jesus healed that man
Hmm.
during Sabbath,
Yeah,
like instead of them trying to say, "Oh man, he healed that man that has been crippled for years,"
yeah.
instead of them focusing on that, they were just focusing on the fact that he healed on the Sabbath.
Which means they didn't care about the man in the first place. He's been
Exactly.
there. He's been there every day at the well. They didn't care. They didn't try and make way for him to get in that pool that was supposed to heal him.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Right? It's funny, and they fell in love with the label of high priest.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
They
yeah.
fell in love with their title in that society.
Mm,
And
mm.
what's crazy about it is that Rome ran that society and allowed them to have space to do their own thing,
Mhm.
and they were content with the fact that they were above the people that they were supposed to be serving,
Mm. Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
did everything wrong. I mean, they fell in love with a label that was detrimental to them,
Mhm.
and I still see
Yeah.
that going on today.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even like this is how good Jesus was. Like
Mm,
you know how Matthew had the label of being a tax collector,
yes,
Jesus didn't care about that.
no,
Jesus still came to Matthew and still told Matthew to follow him.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and we know all and we obviously know that Matthew ended up, having his own book in the Bible.
Hmm. That's right. Well, he made sure he put his name in there, but at the end of the day, it's him allowing himself to be used by God and not being tied down to what he's done
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
people, which was pretty much robbing them with taxes, right? Doing the job of the Romans.
Yeah,
But as we know, if he didn't do it, someone else would have.
yeah, yeah.
And that
Yep.
still goes on today.
It's still going on today. Yeah, yeah. And
But
um
go
to
ahead.
just um to just talk a little about like the titles. Like yeah, we hang on to those titles so much,
Hmm.
especially like those people that are in those like wealthy positions,
Yeah, yeah.
whether they are actor or they're an
Investors
athlete.
or high paying job,
Yeah,
athlete, like you
yeah,
said. Yeah.
yeah. And we hang on, like you mentioned, we hang on to those labels so much
Hmm.
that, you know, we think that's our identity.
Yeah. Well,
But
we only see the glamorous side to things, and that's what they want. They want to gravitate to it.
yeah, yeah. But take all of that away, and do you think they will know who they are?
Yeah, they half them wouldn't, but also even the onlookers who envy based on
Mhm,
the title this person gained to. You don't even know what the person had to do to get there.
mhm,
You don't
mhm.
know that they had to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning to do the workouts. You also don't know if they've done anything else at the Diddy party. Like you have no idea.
Yeah, yeah,
You have no idea. And
yeah.
the dangerous thing about labels that it for those who hold on to it, for those who look or the onlookers looking at other people with labels that they would love to have themselves, they end up despising who they are, despising where they're at.
Mhm.
And for those who aspire to be like those with the top labels in our society, they forsake everything else to get there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Go as far as to, you know. But
Hmm.
actually, you know what? I'm not even gonna say
Hmm. Hmm.
it.
Put on my tinfoil hat for the conspiracies in
Yeah.
3, 2. Yeah. Pretty much they're willing to do a lot of things for it because labels have been put in
Yeah.
place. Like, could you imagine people look down their nose at farmers at one point, and now we're realizing, oh, we don't have any farmers left.
We actually need them.
We need them. There are some labels that are really good. Like even
Yeah, yeah.
agriculture. Thank you, sir, for supplying our food. Thank you, ma'am, for supplying our
Mhm,
food. We're caught up with the
mhm,
label of someone who recites lines on a big screen, lines that
mm.
someone else wrote, and
Yeah.
they're supposed to add the emotions to it, and we get all enthralled with it, and it becomes a multi-billion-dollar industry. And
Mm.
our food supply is struggling,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and no one wants to be a farmer because that's not an enticing label.
It's not. It's not.
We're
Mhm,
so we're
mhm.
so backwards in a lot of things.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I try to hold dear to the label that God has me under, which is a child of God. And
Yes.
in that label, the word perfection doesn't come up.
Nope. Nope.
And I think sometimes that's the one reason why people run from the label of Christianity,
Mhm,
because it's a heavily judged label. It's also a very um, murky label where there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad that happens
mhm,
with it.
mhm, mhm. And and to be honest, like we some of us, like a lot of us, we know this,
Hmm.
that oh yeah, I'm a child of God, but we don't really like receive it.
No, no, we
Um
don't.
and like I'll say for myself, like I'm I'm still trying to receive it for myself because for a very long time, like I always knew that yeah, God loves me and yeah, I'm a child of God,
Hmm.
but like I never acted like it because every time I would like, you know, find myself sinning, which,
Hmm.
we sin every day, but like there's
Yeah.
always those specific ones that we
Hmm.
focus on. And when we do those sins, we end up saying, oh God will never forgive me this time, da 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 da. Like,
Yeah.
and then we start to do instead of
Hmm.
just be, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You're not living it. You're not acting it. And you're worried about your
Yeah,
actions of if it represents.
yeah.
You're just as you were talking, I was just thinking that even when it comes to labels of how did it come in my head? It just came up.
Mm.
I'm just thinking pretty much. Oh, even the labels of sinning.
Mm.
Thank you, Holy Spirit,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
froze. Um, even the labels of sinning, we put different weights on the sin itself.
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, yeah.
Sin is a sin.
Hmm.
If sins were to be labeled as difference, I'm sure there'd be another Ten Commandments labeling which ones are worse.
Yeah.
But he
Hmm.
labeled them, and some they're lumped in together, but it's not based on degree of. One's not worth a 10 and one's worth a 1. But we as a society put a label on it. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you
Like we.
if you slap someone or punch someone in society, it's an assault. If
Mm,
you if your slap ends up just being a slap, but your punch ends up being a big bruise, you may get a different degree on it. But in the eyes of the Lord,
mhm.
the sin is a sin. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, and
Yeah,
we just put
it is. Yeah.
that weight
Like
that we put on it. We judge people based on that now.
yeah, like we tend to like say, oh, if you like we tend to look at lying like, oh, this is a little sin,
Hmm.
or we tend to look at like compared from lying to murder. Like, of course, we
Yeah,
look at murder as the bigger sin,
yeah, yeah.
but to God, lying is just as
Hmm.
bad as murder.
Hey, some lies have put people in jail for life. Some lies have made people murder someone else.
Hmm.
We don't realize that a lie could be heavy regardless of what you think of it.
Yeah,
And in the eyes of God, it's heavy regardless.
and the thing is, like this is where the mystery of God comes in, because it's like
Hmm.
even just me saying that, like my mind can't comprehend that.
I know, I know. My flesh is like, nah, dog.
Yeah,
That is 10 times worse,
yeah, exactly.
right? But I mean, all these things affect God because He's like, I don't want my children doing this.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't want
yeah.
you doing that more than I want. Like at the end of the day, He doesn't want you to do anything that's sinful, and He knows you're going to, and He's already
Mm.
forgiven you before you even did it.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Oh! Just thought of this. As I
Mm,
said that, we have the label of the forgiven,
mm.
but I find too many people sit comfortably with the idea of being a sinner.
Dang.
We know that we're sinners because every day you're going to do something,
Yeah, yeah,
but they sit and accept it so well. But we're also forgiven, and we don't live up to that as quickly.
yeah,
Like even when
yeah.
someone repents, they still sit in that thing for like a week or two sometimes, depending on what they've done.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Dang, that was yeah. Because what's going through my head right now is like, you know, when you take up, even when you take up that label of, like being an addict to something,
Mm,
whether it's like a porn addict, or like a alcohol
yeah,
addict,
yeah.
like whatever it may be, like we attach ourselves to that so much.
So easily. And we've talked about this in the past. It's like our society will tell you, you know, once alcoholic, always alcoholic.
Mhm.
Once a
Mhm.
cheater, always a cheater.
Oh, I heard that before.
Right? However, and I've told you this one before, someone who's eating meat becomes a vegetarian. They're like, oh my gosh, you're vegetarian now? Fantastic.
Mm.
It's embraced that you're no longer
Yeah.
a meat eater.
Yeah.
If someone has stopped drinking alcohol for 20 years, don't keep telling me that it's still a demon in you and still something you have to deal with. Maybe for some people, but the fact that we've
Mm.
just glossed over, like, why do we pick and choose who no longer has to sit under that label and who does,
Yeah. Yeah.
based on what the act is?
Mhm. Mhm.
I was going to say
Yeah.
something crass, but I decided not to. Society is so tiring sometimes. Just
Yeah,
so
cause
tiring.
yeah, cause yeah, I mean, these labels, man, like
Hmm.
it affects us in a lot of ways. It really
It
does.
does.
And each one of us have had our um number of labels that we've put ourselves in,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. But I find
A lot
myself
of us,
stepping out of these labels, though.
yeah, yeah, and unfortunately, we still end up having labels about ourselves.
Oh yeah, oh
So,
yeah.
but it comes, I think, at the end of the day, it comes down to like, what labels do you prefer to believe? The labels of God or the labels of man?
Well said. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, I want to thank you for this time, Wesley. This was a good compo.
Yeah,
Glad,
this was a good conversation, man.
glad we got off our chest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people, keep your labels to yourself. Don't judge me. But I want to thank our listeners again for tuning into us. Thanks again
Yes.
for your time, Wesley.
Yes. Anytime, man.